This is the newly released EcoFlow Delta 3 Ultra Plus, and beside it here we have the Delta 3 Max Plus, followed by the Delta 3 Max. There's a total of 5 Delta 3s that were just released, and we're going to talk about 3 of them today here in just a little bit. This part of the video is brought to you by FedEx.
Along came Federal Express, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight.
When it absolutely, most positively will likely get busted on the way to your home, relax, it's insured. I've seen all the other videos, and there's no one doing what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to get you a deep dive, inside look at what makes the Delta 3 Ultra Plus a great unit. This unit here was destroyed by FedEx. If you look at the video here, you'll see that they delivered it upside down. The device has a boatload of foam in the bottom of it. However, when you ship it upside down and drop it, which is what they did, as you can see from these pictures right there, they tend to damage things. We're going to tear into this thing here in a little bit, but till then, let's get back to the rest of the video. It's been about a year since I did a review on the Delta 3 Plus, and since that time I've been using this every day in my service van to charge my cordless batteries, fast charge my phone and tablet, and run my vacuum pumps, recovery machines, you name it, it hasn't let me down. Then I added the EcoFlow 800 watt alternator charger, which keeps my power station charged so it's ready to go when I need it, without the worries of running my van battery down and straining me. And speaking of dead batteries, the alternator charger has the ability to reverse charge the vehicle's battery if it ever does go dead, which is an awesome feature. Although it's only been about a year since that video, EcoFlow has continued to increase the power and features, and that's why today we're talking about the new Delta 3 series, which has a total of 5 versions to choose from, based on your budget, your features, and the capacity you need. Now this is where it can get easy to confuse the names between the 5 different models, but the features are easier to understand. The new Delta 3 series has 3 capacity sizes starting at 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 watt hours. They all feature 10 milliseconds of UPS power switching, and they all offer pass-through charging. And in order from good, gooder, and more gooder, and better, and bestest, we will start with the Delta Classic. Not able to appear today due to being shy, we start with the Delta Classic. As you may guess, the Delta 3 Classic is the starter line unit, which I do not have here today. Essentially, it starts out at 1,800 watts of continuous power and a 1,024 watt-hour battery, but it's lacking the ability for the battery to be expanded. So if you're thinking of getting one of these power stations, I would take advantage of that special pricing here in the next few days. And speaking of special pricing, down in the description below, I have a special discount code and links. So if you like this video and you like what I'm doing, please use those links and discount codes to save yourself another 5% off, minus flash sales and accessories. While you're down there, if you wouldn't mind, please consider subscribing, leave a comment, click that bell, because I have another groundbreaking game changer from EcoFlow that will be released. Oh no! And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. Obviously, I can't go into any more details, but we'll just leave it at that. And now on to the gooder. That takes us to the Delta 3 Max. The Max series provides 2,400 watts of continuous clean power and a surge wattage of 4,800 watts, and the X Boost allows for high wattage, simple resistive loads up to 3,400 watts. The battery capacity is increased to 2,048 watt hours. The unit features one single 500 watt solar input on the rear with a voltage input rating of 11 to 60 volts DC. It has 4 20 amp AC outlets here on the front. It also features a single 100 watt and 2 30 watt USB-C fast charge outlets on the front, along with a single 18 watt USB-A. And on the rear, it also features a 12 volt 10 amp car outlet. Now jumping on to the Delta 3 Max Plus, which we have here in the middle, we're looking at the Max Plus, which means I listed it as more gooder. Yes, I am kidding when I say that. I do understand English language really gooder. Wow. So just so you know, this unit increases your AC output wattage to 3,000 watts of continuous clean power with a surge capacity of 6,000 watts. And with the optional X Boost, you're able to support resistive loads like kettles and hot plate type devices up to 3,800 watts. This is all thanks to the power station's ability to adjust the output voltage lower to compensate for the higher wattage loads. The Delta 3 Max Plus has a new feature that was not found on the previous Delta series until now. It now offers 4 20 amp 120 volt outlets on the front that can be prioritized by AC Bank 1 and AC Bank 2. The Delta 3 Max Plus upgrades the USB-C to a single 140 watt and 2 45 watt USB-Cs. It also has one single 18 watt USB-A for those older accessories that just won't work on USB-C. As with all the Plus units in the Delta 3 Max lineup, it features the ability to add extra batteries to increase your capacity to 10,000 watt hours. It adds an extra 500 watt solar input, giving you up to 1,000 watts of solar input charging, It has a 12 volt 30 amp DC Anderson connector for your 12 volt appliances that you may want to run. Now we'll jump on to the Delta 3 Ultra, who also had stage fright and is not here today. It's ranked as the better unit only because it features more power, more capacity. But we're just going to go ahead and jump right up to the Delta 3 Ultra Plus, who is proudly here today, introducing the Delta 3 Ultra Plus, which I rated as the bestest. The Delta 3 Ultra Plus has the largest capacity output, cranking out an amazing 3,600 watts of clean sine wave power with a stunning surge wattage capacity of 7,200 watts. The battery capacity also increased to 3,072 watt hours and is able to be expanded up to 11,000 watt hours by using 2 batteries from the Delta Pro 3. With the help of the 2 battery adapter, which I do not have with me here today to show you. And as you've noticed, the Delta 3 Ultra Plus looks a lot like the smaller version of the Delta Pro 3, because as you would imagine, the more power and capacity, the more weight you add. And with the wheels on the back, it makes it very simple to move this powerhouse around. The Ultra Plus features 4 20 amp 120 volt outlets that are prioritizable, just like it was on the Max Plus. And a big upgrade for the Ultra is it adds a TT30 RV port, providing you a full 30 amps of current on your most demanding loads. It features 2 800 watt solar inputs for a combined total of 1,600 watts, and also has a 30 amp 12 volt DC Anderson plug. Now wrapping up the USB-Cs, we have a single 140 watt and 2 45 watt USB-Cs, along with a single 18 watt USB-A. Now I know what you're thinking, how do I keep these names straight? Well, I'm going to list on the screen the specs of the 3 current units here in the Delta 3 Max series that I'm reviewing, along with the 2 units that I'm not reviewing. Feel free to pause the video and get a screen capture or whatever you got to do, and then you'll at least have an easy way to compare all the units on one simple page. And on a side note, you can thank my wife for laying out this nice chart here, because when I'm provided the information, it's all on multiple sheets of paper, not conveniently listed together to compare the specs. Now, I will mention I've also done review videos on the EcoFlows Smart Generator 4000 and 3000, which are great complements to any of the Delta 3 series power stations. I'll add links to those videos above my head or in the notes below. With the seamless control from the EcoFlow app, you're able to maintain your battery state of charge without worries of how you're going to recharge them when the weather is not peak performance for solar. The smart generator can be an excellent option when paired with a smaller power station. This way you can recharge quickly and effortlessly, and the device is portable. Another benefit of using a power station is that it has multiple ways to recharge itself. And with the help of solar, a car alternator charger, or even an AC outlet, just to name a few, gives you the maximum options available. Now, I've done some testing with the solar, with the gas generators, and finally, at the end, we're going to go ahead and tear apart the Ultra Plus. Now let's go ahead and get into some of the testing. For my first test, I performed a 22-hour standby test on the Delta 3 Max and the Delta 3 Ultra Plus. At the end of the 22 hours, I had 85% battery left on the Ultra Plus and 73% left on the Max. I then divided the loss by 22 hours for a calculated loss of 0.68% loss per hour for the Ultra Plus and a 1.2% loss per hour for the Max. Due to a false start on the Delta Max Plus, the test was only for 13 hours and I had 85% left for a calculated loss of 1.15% per hour. For this next test, we're going to determine whether or not the battery produces the watt hours that it's rated at. To achieve this, we're going to run it under a moderate load until the battery is completely dead. The meter on the front of the device will then measure exactly how many watt hours were used from the battery. Once we have the total watt hours for each individual battery, we will then divide the measured watt hours by the hours that it's rated at. This will determine how efficient the battery and the inverter is. You can see at the bottom of the screen the results from the watt meters. The Delta 3 Max produced 1,901 watt hours with a capacity rating of 2,048 watt hours. That comes in at 92.8% efficient. Next, we have the Delta 3 Max Plus coming in at nearly tied with the Max at 1,897 watt hours. This is because they both use the same capacity battery. The Max Plus gives us an efficiency rating of 92.6% efficient. And finally, we have the Delta 3 Ultra Plus coming in at 2,969 watt hours with a rated capacity of 3,072 watt hours, equaling a 96.6% efficiency. All these results are very respectable numbers. Now it's time to see how many hours you might get from the power station in a real-life grid-down scenario. Now keep in mind, the more load you add to the power station, the quicker it'll be depleted. I'm going to use the Delta 3 Max to power my frost-free freezer, which means it uses more power than a manual defrost freezer like an old-school chest style. Because a frost-free freezer typically uses an electric element to perform a defrost every so many hours. Now I'm using the Delta 3 Max Plus for the kitchen refrigerator freezer combo. Everything is set up and we'll see how well everything goes. And finally, the Delta 3 Ultra Plus, I have it hooked up to my manual manual transfer panel, and I'm going to power the master bedroom, basement lights, microwave, deep freeze, mini fridge, plus the north and south lights of the house and the master bath. So here's the results we've got. This is the garage freezer again. We are currently at 1.33 kilowatt hours. We have 25 more minutes of runtime, and we're pulling currently 88 watts. That comes out to being 36.67 watt hours to add to the display that we got there, which comes out to being 1376. Divide that by the 2048 watt hours, and we come up with a grand total of about 67.2% efficient, 15.5 or 15.75 hours of runtime for the freezer only. Now we're looking at the kitchen refrigerator. We're at 1.131 kilowatt hours. We've gotten over a day and a couple hours of usage out of it. We're coming right in at about 55% efficient. And, it kept the refrigerator running for quite a duration there. And now we're finally at the Delta 3 Ultra Plus. The recording started at 9:30 in the evening, and it went out on us right around 5:30 in the morning. So we got right around 8 hours of usage out of it, powering all the things that I mentioned earlier. Now we're going to pull the trigger, flip it on, see what we get now. Here we came in at 58.8 amps. So our voltage did drop down to 114, which is not uncommon when you're pulling absolutely well above what it's rated for. So it has passed the test. We're good there. We kept a reasonable voltage. We're good. Delta 3 Plus, maximum inrush. That was heat gun on low, sweeper, and the circular saw. 55.2 amps. Winner. All right, as you notice, going off this display is not accurate. It just is not quick enough. So it does take specialty tools to actually get true accuracy, and that's what we're at. So let's jump over here to just the Delta 3 Max. All right, heat gun on high and circular saw at the same time. Everything's reset. Here we go. That time there we hit 38.1 amps times, let's go 92.6. I'm not real impressed with the voltage drop here. That's 3,500 watts. Peak power, it just gets things running. It's not something you really want to buy a device based off of, but it does give you some basis of what it can and cannot do. The solar panels you see here are 350 watts with an open voltage of about 45 volts, and under maximum load, they're around 37 volts. So what that means is you cannot put two of them in series because that's going to add the voltage up. So then you would be over the maximum of 60 volts. So what you're going to have to do is put them in parallel. We have two sets of leads here coming from the solar panels, two positives, two negatives. So each of the solar panels come with a positive and negative lead. Now to combine those together, I had to use a Y fitting here, which I built. You can buy them on Amazon for as little as $9 and combine it down to single one. What we're going to do here, because these are XT60 plugs, it's going to combine it. We're going to make sure we check the polarity, because a lot of times manufacturers, to get you to buy their product, will try to reverse polarities and things like that, or use proprietary plugs. Currently our open voltage is 42.9. We're well below the 60 volts. Now let's go ahead and plug it into the Delta 3 Max. So we're coming in right now about 420 watts. Even though the solar panels are 350 watts a piece, generally they never put out exactly what they're rated at. So we're coming in at 420 watts. So we are able to get real close to the maximum of 500. Now, if we want to go a little higher now, we're going to have to step over here to the Delta 3 Max Plus. Now I do want to show you, so this is the paralleled panel together. The voltage is 43 volts DC. Here is the single panel. By itself, it should be exactly the same voltage. The voltage does not increase when you're in parallel. Right here with one panel, we're at 42.7 volts. With the two panels combined together, we're at 43 volts. Now this will shock you. You do not want to put your fingers on that. You really want to have everything plugged in together before you start connecting things together. Okay, let's plug in our double. The Delta Plus is fluctuating between 444. Now we're gonna go ahead and plug in the single panel. Sorry about the glare, but we're outside with the sun shooting right on us. We're right at 671 watts coming in. Like I said, if I had another Y adapter, I'd be able to take that up another 250 to 300 watts, keeping us still underneath the 1,000 watt input. So they do pass. Both of them have the ability to do it. Like I said, the only downside is it's only 60 volt input. That's currently what we have on the Delta 3 Max series. And with the 674 watts coming in and at 59% battery level, it would take about 1.4 hours to charge as long as nothing changes. And of course, you wouldn't want to leave this setting out in the sun because it would probably overheat. Now we're going to investigate an alternative method to charge your power station. Out here we have the Delta 3 Max Plus. The reason why I chose that is so that we can demonstrate its ability to do direct DC charging off of the EcoFlow 4000 generator. Both generators I'm showing here, 4000 and the 3000 model, both have dual fuel. That means it can run on propane gas, the bottle gas, or gasoline. The 4000 here actually has the direct DC charging capabilities, but it also has an outlet here that is 120 volts, traditional outlet here, and it has the RV outlet onto the right-hand side. Essentially, EcoFlow is an ecosystem, meaning you've got compatibility between the two of them. They actually communicate. They can do it off the Wi-Fi. They also can do it off the Bluetooth, which both of them have Bluetooth, both of them have Wi-Fi. 3000 here produces about 18,000 on LP gas and about 2,000 watts on gasoline. The EcoFlow 4000 produces 3,200 watts on gasoline power and 2,900 watts on LP gas. You just have a slight reduction there for the propane. It's just basically there's not as many BTUs in the fuel, and that's the reason why. Now I'm going to show you how quick and easy this is to set up. To connect the DC power port to the actual 4000 series, we plug it right here in the side. We're using a traditional propane tank here that you see on a grill. Obviously, you got to keep your distances. It's got a quick disconnect here. Plug it right into the side. So you're going to flip to propane if you're running propane, gas if you're going to run gas. It has pull start just in case your starter goes out or the battery's dead. So you're covered pretty much for any type of situation. Here's the Smart Generator 4000 first. We're going to demonstrate that. You've got your settings in the top right corner. You can pick your names, how you want it to run, whether you want X boost, all that stuff. You go to your auto start stop. Yes, that's what I want. Now you've got that turned on. We go over to our actual Delta 3 Plus. Open that up, go into settings, scroll down here to input, Smart Generator start stop, click on that. You can tell it to kick on here when it goes below 30 all the way down to 0, and how you want it to shut off, whether you want it to stop at 50% or all the way up to 100%. Being the battery right now is at 66%, it is not going to start on its own because I haven't drained it down. You get the point how you want it to do it. So if you want, you can actually go in here, and if it was dropping below the set point of 30% or 0, whichever one you choose, it would start up automatically. On this case here where we're above, we're at 66%, we're going to go ahead and swipe over to start. The Smart Generator 4000 starts up. Now you're going to start seeing it start to charge, which that is adjustable in your app. You're able to set it for whatever rate you want within the setting points. So on this one here, we got it set for 2,000, but since we're doing direct DC charging, it's able to charge a little bit quicker because it's not going off the outlet. The restriction of 1,800 watts has a lot to do with the fact that you generally can't get much more power than that out of the outlet of the wall without tripping a traditional breaker. As far as noise level, we're 82 dB, but we're right here beside it. Obviously, we can take a conversation on fairly easy, but there you go, you got the point. Normally, it's going to shut off on its own, but in this case scenario here, like I said, our battery here is at 67%, so it's out of that area. Okay, going into the app here on the Delta 3 Max Plus, let's go ahead and tell it where we want it to shut off at. We have it currently at 100%, but now we're at 67. So let's drop that down to 66%. Look at that, it shut off on its own because we were over the 66%. The generator stopped on its own. Simple as that. Now the 3000. 3000 is just as easy. We got a propane port right here on the side. You open it up, in it goes. Boom, we're clicked in. This, like I said, this does run on gasoline too. Here on the back, we have the EcoFlow plug adapter. As you can see, this plug here looks different than this plug here. This is what they were using last year in the Delta 3. Now they're using the same connection they use on the Delta Pro 3, which allows you to add the battery power from the Delta Pro 3 to get 4,000 watts out of each battery that you add to it. They have another adapter, which I do not have and have not seen yet, but from the way it's described, they have an adapter here that has 2 of these type of connectors that will allow you to easily connect 2 batteries to the Plus series, whether it be the Ultra Plus or the Max Plus. Either way, we don't need this now because we're going to do the 3000. You're going to use your traditional cord that you would use for plugging it into your outlet. Pick and choose whether you want it to adjustable or whether you want it fast charging here. Now you're going to come in here to the front, take your pick. You have 120 volt, 15 amp outlets here. We're going to plug that in. Here you have your switching mechanism and off. You have manual here on the back, and you have auto here on the front. So we're going to put it on auto. With it in the auto position, same thing. This is going to communicate between one another with the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, and will automatically kick on. Enough talking, let's get started. Here we are. This is the Ultra Plus. It works, it rolls, it still turns on for now. Power's on, outlet 1 and 2, 120 volts. It works. So even though they busted the case, I don't want a busted case, do you? I had them send a new one. So like I said, that new box that you've seen, they broke that. One of the things I noticed in the video I didn't talk about is the rolling deal here. If you look at the front, they have some nice rubber deals here that keep it situated on the table or wherever it is you got it at. That collapses. Cool. Now here's the thing. This is kind of a dangerous situation because the batteries are fully charged. Generally, you want to have the batteries completely dead. And if you tear yours apart and it's under warranty, it probably won't be warranty when you get done tearing it apart. So I don't recommend you taking it apart. And you see in the beginning there, I said I was going to be doing another review slated for tomorrow. That video of that device got busted too. It's got a problem with the fan. So I can't tell you what it is, but one thing I noticed when I was tearing these apart, all these screws, set screws in there, so nothing just plugs into the plastic. You know, normally you screw right into the plastic, and that's something I gotta commend them on. Also, all the screws, most of them, are the same length. You can tell by the quality of what you're tearing apart just based off of the thought put behind it. We're gonna get some of this junk out of the way, and depending on how long this video is, we may speed things up. Like I was saying, like that right there, there's a piece of metal behind that screw. It's all machine threads, not plastic screws. You can see the new batteries they've got here. They're supposed to be more efficient, automotive grade style battery. Obviously we can get to that. And once again, metal inserts here. I know I'm hurrying. And honestly, if you enjoy this and the views take off, this will happen more often. Because like I said, to me, this is more exciting than hearing the specs and reviews of the unit over and over. To me, if a unit is built really nice, it's using quality components, you're going to know that it's a good unit just from that. Now they do hide a lot of screws underneath the panels. Oh, there's some. They love to hide screws. And luckily I magnetized my screwdriver. As soon as I can get to the main battery and actually disconnect, the terminals will be a lot safer. Oh, there's some screws way down there. Thank goodness I got an 8-inch screwdriver. Tells me we are darn close. There we go. You gently apply pressure to the front and back, and off comes the top. Looks like that can be replaced with a screw there, a screw there. So that won't be hard for them to replace that piece right there. That's just a junk, whatever. So out of here. Uh-oh, whoops. So here you can see the Wi-Fi cable. It's coming right around the front, coming off the very front here. You can see that's an antenna type connection. Right there you can see we have an antenna connection, which comes across, up and over to the back. That's an antenna you can see right there. It's black, it's got some pins there. So that's the antenna. Here's the cooling fans right on the front. You can see they've got some Mamma Mia's here. These are the same cooling fans they have in the Ultra. So let's take this wire tie out. Get that out of the way. There's that. Should have known. Once again, need to get the old 8-inch screwdriver in there. There you go. So that's just a shell casing right there. And there's your fans coming through. Just 2 DC fans pumping and channeling the air right through your heat sinks here. They are keeping your capacitors all nice and glued into place. You've got your chokes here all nice and glued. More capacitors all glued, more capacitors in here glued. And oh, here we go, to the car. So that right there is most likely our battery power. Positive, positive, negative, negative. See what we got. It's gonna be 40-some volts. No, that might actually be going to the car charger port. Let's go to the other side of it, see if we got anything on that. No, those are going to the very front outlets of the unit. So they do have this marked here white. It's funny, everything on the control board is in English, which is kind of interesting. So, you know, even though they dropped it upside down, I do not see any circuit boards broken or anything like that. Same thing with the other device that's broken that I won't be able to do my video tomorrow. I'm thinking about doing a video on it, what's inside of it, since everybody else is gonna be doing the same video about how many watts it's got and how many milliamps and gigawatts and all that good stuff is. Sorry guys, it's hard to get too awfully close, so we're gonna zoom in as best we can. Obviously I'm not set up for this. If you ever watch Zach from Jerry Rig, he's got his camera right on the front. He's using a fixed DLSR. All this stuff is right at the top above it, and he's actually set up for this. There's some heavy bolts there. Holy macaronis, they bolted that bad dog down. There's that. There you go. So there's your main circuit board. Everything has been dipped. You've got static discharge too, which I could have my static wristband on or touch the side there. So as you can see, they've got actual varnish all over in here, which is a good thing. That keeps things from getting moisture damage. Get some gold-plated something or another's there. A lot of silver looking stuff here and there. That's why these things are so expensive. Thing is heavy. Definitely is heavy. So you can see it to the fan, to the fan. So there's that. Boom. P negative. What do we got hiding underneath this insulator we got here? Okay, we do have some more wholesome goodnesses. You guys are gonna probably want to replace this. Okay, this aluminum piece helps hold things together. Let's see if we've got any voltage between the two different plates. Nothing on DC, nothing on AC, nothing on either one of those, so we're good there. Got an insulator. This piece here, you can see, where is it? Right here got bent. When they dropped it upside down, got a little bit bent here on this side. This is bent down a little bit, and that's bent down a little bit. That looks like our batteries, but we already checked that. I wanted to speed this up a little bit. Here's B positive, B negative. Ooh, there's 52 volts. Connects to the rear, so we should be able to get in there and push on the terminal with the screwdriver and pull straight out. There we go. We're gonna keep this away so we don't short. This definitely is dangerous, so I would not do it. Lift straight up and off. There's the bottom, you got an insulator there. And basically a lot of silver. That sure looks like silver. I'd be really surprised if it isn't. Silver's one of the best conductors out there. I think only second maybe to gold, but it's real close to the top. And like I said, those two bolts, wherever they went, that is where the battery's at. So is the inverter must be that very top section. That's it, because down below this is just the batteries. So you've got your communications coming up to your circuit. There really ain't that much in here. Really surprised, honestly. None of my battery brackets here on the sides are broke. I mean, this thing weighs, a couple pounds. So, I mean, I understand why they, weren't happy about it. But if my job was to deliver things, I think I would know by now that things are heavy, and that's kind of my job. Jumping back to Phillips. So there's that. There you go. So right there is the main circuit boards. Finally, some Chinese writing. Yellow, green, PE, N positive. That's what that meant. Now, what's kind of cool, if you're kind of want to try to reverse engineer this, which isn't going to be really possible because they got most of these circuits in here pretty much marked so that you can't read them. You can see they're using really good wire. That's nice, flexible copper. This right here is a choke to keep your noise down. Let's see how tight it is on the terminals going to your 30 amp. Not really getting much of a turn. Maybe a 1/16 of a turn right here. So you can see the outlets right there come right onto the back of the circuit board, and they are soldered right on there, and really looks nice. All of this here nowadays is being built by like computers or like pickers, and they that's how we can actually build some of our boards here in the United States. I mean, back in the day when I was first starting, surface mount technology like we've got here was not even, it was just starting to come out. This is massively difficult to work on, but this is my first love. Unfortunately, like I said, it's a throwaway society now. They make it cheaper than we can build it, and we've shipped our jobs out. That's our fault as stupid Americans, always trying to make everything cheaper, and now everything's getting more expensive, and it is what it is. So there you go, there's that. You can see there's some indentations right there where the batteries go. Dig a little further. Well, screw it. There's that, there's your batteries. Yeah, these are specially welded down. That is about as far as I'm going to be able to go. Anything more than that, you get dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Even though these are lithium iron phosphate batteries, these are super safe compared to lithium iron traditional batteries. But what this is doing a combination of series parallel. How many cells do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 times 6. Everything on the back is just rubber. 3.2 volts. So negatives on top. This little terminal thing right there is 3.2. Ooh, right there, 3.2. So we got a flat spot here and this big top on top, which, okay, they're just barely. Okay. The top of that right there is negative. And this flat piece right here is positive. And then on the edge corner is like a piece of insulator. Quite interesting. I've never seen that battery before in my life. I don't know who they are, officer. So 3.2 volts. So we can go through here, 3.28, 3.28, 3.28, 3.28, 3.28. So far every battery has been exactly the same. So obviously they're using some really good batteries. I have to suspect that they probably build them themselves. If not, they're custom built for them. But there's really not a whole lot further we can go. There we go. Pop the plastic thing out. There we go. I scratched my nice table up. There we go. There you go. There's your final thing here on the back. So there's not a whole lot right there to see. Like I said, that's those big old silver. I would suspect that's probably close to 100% silver. Coming right in there, you can see there's your DC plug. They're jumping over to the DC ends. Here's your communications. The communications comes up to this pin here, which then goes to the actual main circuit board that monitors everything. And then, so yeah, you got B1, A1, B2, A2. So there's probably your in and out, I suspect. Yeah. And then, like I said, that wire we unplugged originally, it said AC or whatever. That's your solar and stuff is on that other circuit board. It just passes through here. Same thing with your AC. So all your charging and all that's being done over there. This is taking it straight to the DC section and must be getting handled by that in-between board there we had. It's a pretty heavy duty axle coming through there. And I don't think that's going to bend anytime soon. You can see the batteries come around. And there's just really nothing else to look at. All right, guys, did you enjoy the video? Did you like the teardown? I mean, we could have probably tore the transistors and the freaking MOSFETs off of the board, but I don't think they'd be too happy about that. We'll try to get this back together. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. I put a lot of time into it, trying to make things as interesting and as exciting as possible, as much as specifications can be. And I want to thank you guys. Please consider subscribing. Make sure you hit the like button. And if you're going to buy one, can you please use my discount code? Because we don't get paid unless you use that discount code, or at least I don't. So, till next time, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.